podcast?
I'll show you actually. It's this guy, Sam Harris. He's the fucking most brutal critic of Trump ever. Like, he's like the best dude I know of at explaining why Trump is the fucking worst. It's just like so over-discussed that it's like hard to have an interesting perspective on it, you know?
Without saying some basic shit.
Yeah, because how the fuck do you like say the same thing that everybody knows without fucking sounding cliche, you know?
How'd you get on it?
Shit, he's just like one of the most influential, like, I got into him because he, back in the day, used to write books about religion and shit. And then like he's kind of taken on more, he talks about like meditation from the perspective of like a non-religious person, you know? And I got super into him from that too, and then he's just kind of gone deeper and deeper into politics, and he's a shit.
When you say non-religious, like meaning like as an atheist, or I don't fuck with organized religion?
Well, yeah, he's like a super hardcore atheist himself, but I mean, he just kind of talks about how a lot of like how the meaning of people in like Western civilization has been sort of lost with the loss of religion. People become more secular, but then they end up like kind of left with like a void of like, or especially like with every like culture has had rituals in terms of like how to get deeper into thought, you know? And that's just like an overarching theme. And like just hearing him talk about how like there is a way for people who don't believe in a literal God to fucking embrace that and like get something out of it too. It's like very eye-opening to me.
And you identify with that? Like,
yeah, I'm an atheist, but in a sense, but not in like, I don't know. There's a lot of like assumptions that come about atheism, you know. I
got questions actually. I've been thinking about this. Yeah. My thing is like, as an atheist, does your non-belief in God come from a turn off that religion? Like religion turns you off? Or did it come from like years of thinking like that doesn't make sense to me, like that there's any power higher than?
To me, to be honest, I found out that I didn't believe in God when I was like 12, and it was just, to me, it's like a very like literal thing in the sense that I don't believe that there's any way for us to know about what happens after you die, or how we got here and stuff like that. And I think
there's no way to prove that.
Right, and the only like logical way to find out about that would be through science. And that's not even to say anything of the way that like religion actually functions and works in practice, in which it's like constantly used to
control,
hold on to, you know, ancient beliefs that are you know, dangerous or harmful or whatever. And I mean that goes for every religion.
Last question. Do you think that there's even a possibility that a God exists? Or like, and when I say God, obviously clearly there's mad associations that come with that and like an idea of that, but remove that idea, and do you believe in any type of spirituality? Like, do you think that that's possible?
I watch the vlog and shit, you know, rope games.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
How you feeling, Adam? And he the gatekeeper for now, you know, all them interviews, bro. A man X and you ain't X ain't let you manage him, bro.
Oh man.
Because I definitely went through a point in my life where it was like, 7th grade fucked me up. 7th grade science class. Because we started talking about fucking dinosaurs and evolution. And all of that shit sounded logical to me. You know what I mean? And it like fascinated me. It was at one point like 2nd, 3rd grade, I wanted to be a fucking archaeologist or something. That shit was mad cool. But then I hit 7th. But then it's also, we go to church. Then it's also, you hear all this shit about Adam and Eve and boom, boom, boom. So 7th grade is like, well, if I can't believe in both of these. I hit a point in my 12-year-old mind.
You knew that when you were young, because I never felt like my version of Christianity that my parents handed me was like in conflict with like science class. But how old are you?
32.
Oh, you're about the same age as me. Yeah, I never remember thinking that, but like the version of Christianity I was brought up with was also very much like, you know, because religion is what they tell you it is, and like for my parents it was like, treat everybody good. Racism is bad, homophobia is bad, anti-woman stuff is bad. That's like what I grew up thinking religion was.
They hit a point where I had to like question it for the first time, where it was like I wasn't sure, but then I felt bad about that. I went and got baptized because I was like, I felt guilty for even having a thought that like, well, if what y'all are saying is this and what y'all, like for even having a negative thought about it. Like I went and got baptized, started reading the Bible, I was scared as fuck. And then it hit a point in my life where it's like, I just fell off and like, I'll let the answer come. And as I got older, I feel like I had a personal understanding of like what God is to me. Strong belief too of like, it has nothing to do with what y'all are talking about, more like a personal understanding. And of course, I could never even fathom it, but as close as I could get to understand it, I can understand it. But then that always had me thinking, I would listen to like, I used to fuck with Bill Maher. I started like really watch his show, and then he put out this, it was like a religious movie, I don't know if you've seen it when it came out. That shit turned me off. Cause like, I didn't mind that you were atheist, but it's like he was somewhere along the line, I feel like his trash in the religion.
He started bashing religion.
Which I didn't. It's cool. Like there's some funny shit. You know, there's a lot of things to make jokes about with religion, but I couldn't understand. I was like, man, you're so turned off by religion, you're missing the God aspect. The spirit. It's making you totally oblivious to the fact that like, yo, there may be a spiritual realm. But I've never had a chance to really like dive in with an atheist and ask the questions of like, yo, do you think that that's a possibility? And if not, why?
Especially as my voice has gotten louder in the hip hop shit, that's just, it was always something I was interested in, like but then like as time goes by, I feel so much more attracted to the idea of like, this is not like a conversation I'm trying to be having all the time publicly because I don't want to look like I'm putting anybody down.
Sure, yeah.
And I also always feel like simplistic messages are good. Yeah. So it's like when I talk about politics to my audience and I know that they're not the most affluent people in politics or whatever, it's like I want to make sure I like hit the big targets and not get into the minutia of talking about little tiny things and everything. So, you know, I like talking about religion for sure, but I just, as soon as I realized like, oh, the impression that people have of you is starting to become that you're the dude who's looking out for young rappers and helping put them on, I was like, oh damn, like that's like a very important role, and I don't want to like clutter how I'm viewed publicly by like going into depth about certain things. You know, I'm sure that there's been things that you've thought about in your career like that, because no matter what you put out as art, the reality always has to be way more complicated.
Yeah.
You know?
That's real.
That's real.
But for me with religion, I think religion is just the way, like man's earliest attempt to explain why we're here. And we're talking about something that occurred thousands of years ago. Like in order to be a Christian, in my opinion, you have to believe that the Bible is the best book that's ever been written about how to live your life. And that there is no improvement that you could really make to it. And I don't really believe that.
The basic question is I'm just saying, fuck, how was the first, even if we don't know the science, we can't break down the Big Bang Theory to a science as a scientist can, but what, even let's say in this basic theory, the Big Bang Theory is that from a particle or from something, there was an explosion. Why was there that first thing? You know what I mean? Or like, where does that come from? And that was ultimately the thing that could never get me to say like, that was the reason why I could never not believe in something, because that question does not have an answer. You know what I mean? It's just like, yo, at the end of the day, even if this shit came from a one fucking particle that exploded or whatever, who made the particle? Why is there a particle? There has to be nothing before there's something.